Listen, man, you need to unlearn everything that you know about studying because most of the time people do not know how to study. And school is coming up. You don't want to be that guy that's still left behind with his old principles on how to learn and study. So that's what I'm going to tell you today. But what I need you to do is to firstly forget everything that you know, everything that you ever learned about studying. Because if you already knew how to study, how to get good grades, basically perfect grades without much learning, you wouldn't need to watch these videos. You wouldn't need to find all these tips and tricks on the internet. So for that reason, I need you to focus and forget basically everything that you currently know. Just as if you were starting to learn about studying from scratch, I need you to do that. Do that for me, otherwise this will not work. Who am I? I'm Martin. I'm a student who's never got a worse grade than a B, like on his final, final paper where all the marks are shown. I've never gotten a B. I've never gotten a worse grade than a B. And this meant that I've always gotten the honors, when in my country, when you have like A's and B's, and when you have exactly half A's and exactly half B's or better, you get like an honor. That's what I got basically every single year. And my parents always ask me, when are you studying, Martin? Because we never see you being with the books, but you always get these great grades. That's what I'm going to tell you today. Alright, so probably right now what you're doing is that you attend classes, you take notes in the classes, and then you just go home, and when the test is announced, you start learning for it basically the night before the test. That is not what you want to do, obviously. There are more efficient ways to do that. Now, the first mindset change is to actually pay attention in class. It is a necessary component of spending less time of studying at home. So what I need you to do is to start paying more attention in class. I know this sounds real basic and it sounds obvious, but most people don't even pay attention in class. And then they wonder, what is this topic? I've never heard of it, even though the teacher has already explained it a million times. Now you may have like an incompetent teacher. That happens a lot of times. Now if that's the case, you will need to do some self-research, like on your own. Now that will require more time, but you can still you could do that between breaks in the school. So if you were actually locked in and try-harding in school, you wouldn't need to do stuff at home. That's the reality. You could even do your assignments or homeworks at school, but that's kind of the advanced level. Next up, when you take notes, you need to take them by hand. You cannot really do it on your phone or on your laptop, because that's not going to reinforce your brain neurons as much as if you were doing it by your hand. Now, that doesn't mean that we do not want to have our notes in the electric form. We still want to have our notes that we take in class and basically transform them into an online version. I'll explain it in a second why we need to do that. So when you create the notes by hand, and then after class sometime you convert it into an online form, whether it is by taking it into AI or doing it by hand, that's up to you. But I really think that just using some kind of app is faster, if it can read your handwriting, of course. Alright, so now we have our normal notes and our electric notes. electronic notes. And we've already paid attention in class, so that's half the battle won, because we already somehow know what's going to be in that test. We know something about the topic. Now there are some parts of the topic that we're not like 100% sure about. That's what we're going to get into next. But we also have the electronic notes. What we're going to do is to take our electronic notes and basically throw it into ChatGPT and ask it to create a bunch of questions based on this list of notes. And after each question, create an answer. The reasoning is that when you write the test in school, you write the test and you'll get the test back from the teacher in like weeks, if not months. And when you're trying to learn, you need to have that feedback loop of answer and the correct answer as fast as possible. So when you write the test and the teacher gives you the test back in a few weeks, it's not really reinforcing anything. So this is going to reinforce your knowledge so much better, and it's not for like marks. You're not going to get graded on this. So ask the ChatGPT to create questions. Under each question, create an answer. You try to answer the question as best as possible, and then you compare the answers. It's basically how you can learn so much more efficiently. It's way better than just trying to read the material from the book. Now, of course, it's easier to do the busy work, the fake work. It's easier to try to read the notes that you've taken or to highlight them. That's not going to improve your grade by much. What is, though, going to improve your grade is doing these self-testing cycles and doing them often. Now, if you're interested in more of these kind of tricks on how to improve your grades with like decreasing the time that you spend studying, check out the course that I made in the description. It is going to help you, not only if you're serious about this. Because how awesome is it if you could just get better grades than the nerds who are studying all the time while lowering the time that you spend studying? That sounds like an awesome trait to me. So not only you're getting double the benefits, but you're also surpassing the people who are trying to like do the both. So instead of trying to like, there's this saying, work hard, play hard, for example. But what if we work smarter? What if we try to improve our tactics on how to study so much more, rather than just trying to hustle the better grades out by inefficient studying techniques? That sounds more logical. And if that's what you want, check out the link in the description. Okay, so you've already learned that you need to take the notes to convert them to an electronic form and take them into an AI and create a bunch of questions and answers. You ideally need to do this in the morning, because that's when you have the most brain points. So brain points, each time you wake up, you basically restore your brain function, your brain capacity to work and learn and do stuff. And when you go in the day, with each action that you do, the brain points decrease. So at the end of the day, you're tired, fatigued, and you don't have that much energy to do anything. But on the other hand, when you wake up, you have fully restored brain points from the sleep, obviously, if you sleep enough. That's the best and most optimal time where you can do the self-testing, now I would recommend you to wake up like half hour earlier and do the self-testing there in the half-hour window in the morning, before you do anything, before you eat anything, before you just wake up and start doing the tests. Now, of course, you should have these tests ready the night before. You should have them prepared. Now, another thing that is going to help you so much more is when you learn about a new topic in school, you have like a 24-hour window where you can try to relearn, or like just try to learn the topic again in that 24 hours. In that time frame, if you do it, it is going to be so much more efficient than if you just done it a week later. So what does that mean? That means that if you want to make the most optimal studying, you should learn the topics right after they are being taught in that 24 hours by self-testing using AI. So now you're getting how we are going to use that routine to our benefit. We're going to use the AI that the teachers are now using to create the tests and to correct the tests to our advantage. And we're not going to use them to cheat. That's not what we're going to do, because we will not need that. We will not need cheating when we already know all the answers. So you see, the teachers themselves are using the AI. So if we are not using it, we're going to just lose. This is the meta now for the students. Now meta stands for most available tactic, most effective tactic available. So that's what we are going to do. We're going to kind of abuse AI to our advantage, and we're going to try to do this in the most efficient time frame, which is the earliest in the morning when we wake up. So ideally we would do this every morning for half an hour. That's what you need to do if you don't know when the tests are coming. Now if you know when the tests are upcoming and you know when the tests are going to be there, that's even more time saving friendly. You can do it few mornings before the test. So if you know that on a certain day there is going to be a test, and you know it for a fact, and you take 3 mornings and you learn that self-testing on those 3 mornings. If you didn't know when the test was upcoming, then you would need to do it basically every morning. Now you can stack all the different topics on the morning on themselves. So you create multiple self-testing tests, and you just write them down. That's basically the most efficient way to study right now. And like I've said, go check out the course that I've created down below, which dives kind of deeper into these topics. And also subscribe if I've given you value already.